Even after reintroduction of multi-party politics in 1992, Kenya continued to operate like a one-party state with the electoral body under the whim of the executive. Following the 2007 post-election violence, the push for a new constitution was prioritized. On 27 August 2010, Kenyans overwhelmingly passed the 2010 constitution that entrenched provision of assumption of office of president to avoid past scenarios where presidents were sworn in a rush and even at dusk despite the disputed poll. In August 2012, Parliament passed the Assumption of Office of President Act that provided clear procedure and ceremony for the assumption of office of president by the president-elect. With 9 months to the general election, where President Uhuru Kenyatta is expected to hand over power to his successor, our senior political affairs reporter Patrick Amimo takes us through the historical journey to a new dawn.
30th December 2002, the day set aside for the swearing-in ceremony of the National Alliance Rainbow Coalition, NAC, presidential candidate Mwai Kibaki as Kenya's third president, witnessed chaotic scenes at Uhuru Park. 3 days earlier, on December 27th, Kenyans had gone to the polls that were historic. President Daniel Moi's 24-year rule was coming to a dramatic end. Moi was set to retire and hand over power either to KANU's presidential candidate Uhuru Kenyatta and or the opposition National Alliance Rainbow Coalition NAC candidate Mwai Kibaki. The transition polls happened 2 years after the turn of a new millennium. By the afternoon of December 28th, it was clear Mwai Kibaki was headed for a landslide victory. On December 29th, Uhuru Kenyatta conceded.
I accept the choice of the people, and in particular, now concede that Mr. Mwai Kibaki will be the third president of the Republic of Kenya.
That evening, the chairman of the defunct Electoral Commission of Kenya, Samuel Kivuitu, declared Kibaki president-elect.
The commission therefore declares Honorable Mwai Kibaki as the president of Kenya.
Opposition leaders called for the immediate inauguration of Kibaki the following day. No one seemed sure whether Moi would actually hand over power to the opposition as the constitution demanded.
It is because of our political waywardness, since the beginning to where we are today. Presidents and the young governments have not respected law and the constitution. In fact, majority of them work so hard to change the constitution so that it fits their will.
Former Vice President Musalia Mudavadi says him and other top KANU politicians kept off Uhuru Park, afraid of being humiliated by the euphoric crowd and new NAC administration. In his memoir, Soaring Above the Storms of Passion, Mudavadi says that it was agreed that in the face of the NAC euphoria, Moi should go along to the handing over parade, accompanied by his security detail. The critical thing was that Moi should make the exit and he should do so with dignity, said Mudavadi. Then Head of Public Service Dr. Sally Kosgei told the Standard in December 2019 that they had done a meticulous job through the Public Service Commission of assigning staff who accompanied Daniel Moi to Uhuru Park. Kosgei said a team had taken 6 months to plan for a decent transition. Dr. Sally Kosgei said that she lost her shoe at Uhuru Park after they were attacked by a rowdy crowd. She says, and I quote, "I had to dash to a colleague's car for safety. My car's windscreen was shattered. I arrived at State House with one shoe. I was ashamed of all that had happened at Uhuru Park. Some of the dignitaries left in shame. Most of them knew me by first name. It all weighed down heavily on me," recalled Dr. Sally Kosgei. According to Lin Jiru, Moi's long-serving press secretary, Moi was forced to drive to Uhuru Park to hand over power to President-elect Mwai Kibaki in order to avert a political crisis. Jiru accused Kibaki's transition team of deliberately keeping Moi in the dark over the swearing-in ceremony. There was a conspiracy to create a false impression that Mzee Moi had refused to vacate office. Njiru claims Kibaki's team kept telling Moi that they were not yet ready for the handover ceremony and so he should stay at State House and await instructions. At 12:30 p.m, police on horseback started clearing crowds that had jammed Uhuru Park to pave way for the entry of foreign dignitaries, military parade and handing over ceremony. It had been all chaos since morning. Protocol had been thrown out through the window. At 2:30 p.m, Njiru says Moi ran out of patience and ordered his security team to drive him to Uhuru Park to hand over the instruments of power to his successor. Njiru disclosed that Moi told them whether Kibaki's team was ready or not, protocol or no protocol, he had to attend the ceremony and save the country from bloodshed.
When Moi was leaving home, few people trusted, first of all, that Moi will do 2 terms with a new constitution and go home. No. So it surprised people when he said he's not going to contest in 2002. But even with that, they were not sure he would leave.
A section of the charged crowd pelted Moi with balls of mud as he mounted the steps of the dais to congratulate Kibaki for the victory.
A credit to your country. You have demonstrated to the world that Africa can manage its own destiny without disruption. You have voted in a new president and a new government. The era of anything goes is now gone forever. Government will no longer be run on the whims of individuals. The era of road-type decisions, declarations are gone. My government decisions will be guided by teamwork and consultations.
After the disputed 2007 presidential poll tally, President Mwai Kibaki was sworn in at Dusk in State House Gardens, Nairobi, for his second and last term after Chairman of the defunct Electoral Commission of Kenya, Samuel Kivitu, controversially declared him winner.
The Electoral Commission of Kenya certifies that the candidate who has been duly elected the President of the Republic of Kenya under the provisions of Section 5 of the Constitution in the presidential elections held on 27th December 2007 is Honorable Mwai Kibaki.
Opposition leader Raila Odinga rejected the result, claiming massive rigging by the government. Within an hour of Kivitu's declaration, former Chief Justice Ivan Gisheru presided over a hurriedly convened swearing-in ceremony attended by a few aides and senior government officials.
Mimi Mwai Kibaki naapa kwamba nitatenda kazi zangu za urais kwa Jamhuri ya Kenya kwa uaminifu na kutimiza wajibu wa kazi hizo kwa bidii na kwa moyo mkujufu.
Odinga called for Kibaki to step down.
Today we have actually asked him to continue mourning.
Kenya was immediately plunged into crisis. Violence erupted in various parts of the country as opposition supporters took to the streets. Odinga's campaign team sent out text messages announcing that a mass rally to inaugurate the people's president would be staged the next day at Kamukunji grounds, Nairobi. Police declared the meeting illegal. In April 2008, the Government of National Unity, also known as the Grand Coalition, was formed after the former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan led peace and reconciliation talks. Kibaki continued serving as president, while Odinga was appointed Prime Minister on 14th April 2008. On 27th August 2012, President Mwai Kibaki signed into law Assumption of the Office of the President Act after it was passed by Parliament. The law provided for the procedure and ceremony for the assumption of the office of President by the President-elect in accordance with Article 141 of the Constitution. The Act came into force in the 4th March 2013 general election. Under the Act, there will be established Assumption of Office of the President Committee chaired by the head of civil service and includes the Attorney General, Cabinet Secretary for Interior, Chief of Kenya Defence Forces, Director of National Intelligence Services, and Chief Registrar of Judiciary. Other members of the committee are 8 Principal Secretaries, Inspector General of the National Police Service, Clerk of National Assembly, and 3 persons nominated by the President-elect. The functions of the committee shall be, among others, to facilitate the handing over process by the outgoing President to the President-elect, organize for the security of the President-elect, coordinate the briefings of the President-elect by relevant public officers, facilitate communication between the outgoing President and the President-elect, and prepare the program and organize for the swearing-in ceremony. Upon the declaration of final results of a presidential election by the Electoral Commission, the committee shall ensure that the President-elect and Deputy President-elect are accorded adequate security. The committee shall also ensure that the President-elect receives security briefings from the respective national security organs.
Obviously, if you are going to be president, you are all, but for the swearing in, you are already the president. When Uhuru won in 2013, you saw, the moment he won and declared at bombers, the vehicles he had come with became different. Because like Kibaki, there was so much confusion. There was so much confusion. People trying to jam State House. In fact, before he moved to State House, people were jamming him there. They thought he's their buddy. They had to be reminded, no, Kibaki is no longer your buddy. This is the President of the Republic. You cannot come here without an appointment. How? Unaingia tu kwa gate ya State House.
The importance about it is, of course, bare minimum, people are doing their work, but at the highest apex is that the President is aware about any security threats and probably cases that the outgoing President was dealing with that therefore will require the attention of the President-elect.
If a presidential election is challenged in Supreme Court, it will take 28 days to resolve the petition and swearing in of the new President. The petition has to be filed within 7 days after the date of declaration of the results. The Supreme Court shall hear and determine the petition within 14 days. If the Supreme Court determines the election of the President-elect is invalid, a fresh election shall be held within 60 days after the determination. At the same time, the Constitution states that in the event that the election is contested in court, the President-elect shall be sworn in on the 7th day from the date at which the court renders the decision declaring the election to be valid. According to the Constitution, if no petition is filed questioning the validity of a presidential election, the President-elect shall be sworn in on the first Tuesday following the 14th day after the date of the declaration of the results of the presidential election. According to the Act, the swearing-in of the President-elect shall be conducted in a public ceremony held in Nairobi. The committee shall publish in the Gazette the date and place for the conduct of the swearing-in ceremony, which shall be a public holiday.
It's really helped us because we have seen that happening in 2013. We had a committee put in place, though there were court cases, but you realize that that committee was able to wait until all those cases were discharged. The same also happened in 2017. There were cases, but the committee waited until all those cases were discharged.
The President-elect shall, during the swearing-in ceremony, take and subscribe the oath of allegiance. The oath shall be administered to the President-elect by the Chief Registrar before the Chief Justice, or in the absence of the Chief Justice, the Deputy Chief Justice, not earlier than 10 a.m. and not later than 2 p.m. The Deputy Chief Justice shall witness the swearing-in ceremony only in circumstances where the Chief Justice is incapacitated.
Panga hiyo ishara ya kwamba amekuwa amiri jeshi mkuu wa majeshi yote ya ulinzi.
Upon signing the certificate of inauguration, the outgoing President shall hand over to the President a sword and the Constitution. These shall not apply when the incumbent is re-elected into office. The Deputy President-elect shall then take oath of office. Upon swearing in of the Deputy President-elect, the President shall give an inauguration speech to the nation. The law and Constitution are clear. Never again, never shall a Kenyan President be sworn into office hurriedly and or at dusk. Besides, the President must garner 50% plus 1 votes. Patrick Amimo, KTN News, Nairobi.
Thank you, Patrick, for that story, which leads us to another break right here on KTN Prime. And we shall also be taking